Are you ready, Jerry?
Yep. Prepare to be chilled to the bone as we explore terrifying but true stories reported in the news. From a haunted doll to mysterious deaths to a deadly exorcism, we'll dive into some of the most unsettling tales that have captured headlines. Tonight on Newsworthy, 2 words and 2 question marks.
He's alive! Have you checked the children? Get out!
You have scoured the podcast world and finally found us, Newsworthy with Steve and Jerry, where we delve into all things mysterious, macabre, or out of this world, and decide if they are truly newsworthy. 2 words and 2 question marks.
Hi, this is Ed Locke with USA Mortgage. When it comes to buying a home, the process can be overwhelming and confusing. With so many options, it can be hard to know where to start. That's why it's important to work with a certified mortgage loan originator. I have the knowledge and expertise to guide you through the process and find the best mortgage option for you. I will work with you every step of the way to ensure that you are getting the best deal possible. So if you're looking to purchase or refinance, please reach out to me at 502-680-0953. So don't take on the stress of buying a home alone. Work with me and I will make your dream a reality. Trust the professionals and make your home buying experience a positive one. MLS ID 448908, DAS Acquisition Company, LLC, doing business as USA Mortgage, MLS ID 227262. This is not a commitment to lend. Additional terms and conditions apply. USA Mortgage is equal housing opportunity.
Hello, gentlemen.
Hello.
Hello.
It seems like we've sat here before.
Seems like we just did an episode like a couple minutes ago.
Deja vu.
Deja vu all over again. And for the record, now that we are officially on air, Pluto is a planet.
Neil
Pluto
deGrasse
is
Tyson, I
not.
know you're watching. Can you please comment on our video and just explain why Pluto is not a planet?
Neil deGrasse Tyson, albeit genius in many, many fields and many, many things.
Really just one field, to be fair.
And having the ability to explain a very complicated and multifaceted topic in a way that normal people can understand is amazing. However, if he believes that Pluto is not a planet, he's wrong.
He doesn't believe in aliens, so.
Well, I think he's wrong on that too.
I also disagree with him on that. So
Does he not believe in them or not believe that we're proven it yet?
he doesn't think that we've been visited by aliens. He says that we're not interesting enough. That's kind of his argument.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I disagree with him. He might know about him, and he's paid by the CIA to put out that information.
Well, it's kind of crazy. And you know, some of the people that argue that it's not that they don't believe in aliens, it's that he doesn't believe that their civilization is advanced enough to get here with live specimens, or that their civilization has lived long enough to get here and not extinguish themselves.
Right.
That's the big argument with a lot of people. They believe that even if there are a million civilizations out there, that they can't live long enough without destroying themselves to get other places.
Which I think I disagree with, just because we are like that as a race. I don't necessarily think that it means that other races are like us.
If you listen to Dr. Stephen Greer, he believes that we've actually had contact with dozens of aliens. and that they are not hostile toward us. In fact, they have deflected several of our attempts to eliminate ourselves from the unalive ourselves, if you will, over the last 80 or 90 years. And that, if anything, they are concerned with our ability to want to wage war on anything we see.
One thing Joe Rogan talks about a lot, which he's not really an expert on, but he's talked to a lot of experts, so we'll give him that. He says that he thinks that we're going through what all civilizations go through, where he thinks that we're kind of coming to the cliff at the end, where we're about to we either fall off. That's what Elon Musk has talked about too, where he says we're either gonna basically get into like Star Trek type stuff, or we're gonna destroy ourselves. Yeah. We're at that point where this is like a pivotal. I mean, we already got the brain chip that's going on. We got AI. We got robots now. The future is here. Science fiction is already here. So we just need to make sure we don't blow ourselves up.
I just did a bit of research. They didn't actually say that Pluto was not a planet. What they did was to reclassify it from a planet to a dwarf planet, which is still a type of planet. So
then we would technically still have 9 planets in the social.
Pluto's status was reclassified from planet to dwarf planet on August 20. That's BBC Sky at Night magazine from BBC.
I'm waiting.
It happened on August 24, 2006 by the International Astronomical Union following a vote of its members. The official act that took planetary classification from Pluto was Resolution 5A, definition of a planet in the solar system. So it was just reclassified to a dwarf planet.
So the fact that it doesn't have objects must clear its orbit of smaller bodies, it doesn't have that.
Thank you. Could you repeat that one more time?
It doesn't qualify as a planet
because,
but it's a dwarf planet. So we still have 8 planets. Because dwarf planets and planets are different.
What was you just read? Please read that again.
If you would like to read the official reason as given by the International Astronomical Union, who apparently are the certified officials, they took the vote, they certified it as not. We'll be happy to go read theirs. And I'm sure it will say once again that they have to be able to clear the orbit of similar size objects.
It's not what Brett just read.
I did. The object must clear its orbit of smaller bodies. That's
smaller bodies.
Wait a minute, smaller bodies? Hold on.
That's what he just read.
This is the AI overview. This isn't.
That's not smaller bodies? How much smaller?
Right. It doesn't.
Small enough.
A germ? That's a small body. So can you clear?
Of course, leave it to Jerry to bring out the crazy.
If you take that literally the way that you were taking that, then there's no way
only literally to a point that fits my narrative.
Exactly.
Jerry.
So according to NASA,
you hate facts, admit it.
According to NASA, it's not considered a planet because other objects might cross its orbit.
Oh, like Halley's Comet may cross
like an asteroid.
But
just saying.
Shut up, Steve.
Just saying. Maybe Earth isn't a planet either. No. Just saying. Maybe we live on a dwarf planet. And we have a really weird moon. I'm just saying we're doing a show on it soon.
What do you mean we're doing? What do you think?
On the weirdness of the moon. The moon has so many weird things about it.
The actual moon, not the new moon.
Yeah, no. There is no new moon. It's an asteroid.
Right. That's like just orbiting us for what?
2 months.
2 months, yeah.
We've captured it and we're going to have to spit it out and it'll go away. And I'm actually glad we captured it because if we didn't and it hit our planet, it could be it's big enough to do bad things.
Yours too.
Oh.
Have I told you guys about my grandfather?
No.
He poured his blood, sweat, and tears into his career.
Oh, yeah?
Amazing man. Horrible chef.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and give the best one. That was a good one.
I love it. It reminds me of my favorite guy over at one of the restaurants. Literally has his belly hanging on the table while he's cooking.
I know who you're talking about.
Best cook in the whole building.
I know who you're talking about.
Woo!
That was a good one.
Wow. So this week, let me just throw this out there. One of the things I work, you guys know, and everybody knows I work at a nonprofit, not for profit. We are doing a fundraiser for Meals on Wheels locally here in Lawrenceburg. We contributed a basket that they're going to use. It was really cool. I'm really excited. I hope it donates a lot of money for them. So
Generate.
Yeah, generates. What did I say?
Donates.
Yeah, well, I hope it.
I don't think that's going to donate any money.
Yeah, no, I hope it generates a lot of money. I'm sorry, I've had wine.
Good wine, too. Tell them what kind.
No, it's oak leaf. It's not good.
Okay.
Wine. It's good and cheap.
To be honest, it's cheap wine is.
It's actually very refreshing.
Oak leaf is an extremely good value.
Yeah.
It really is. I think it tastes good and it's dirt cheap.
I can't tell a difference. I'm not a big wine drinker, though, but I can't tell a difference between expensive wine and
Same.
cheap
So
wine.
why spend the money?
So as long as it meets at least 2 criteria, preferably 3, but 2 is fine. Cold and sweet, we're good.
See, I don't like
That's his
either one of
definition of planets, too, by the way. As long as it meets 2 of the 3 criteria.
those.
I don't like either of you. You're a bunch of. There's a reason we do encounters without you, both. Just saying.
Without me, huh? Okay. I remember that next Monday.
That's not my fault. That's a software.
I remember that.
No. Encounters is a cool episode we do every Monday with Jerry's help.
Only because the software is screwing up, not doing its part.
But it's a great time. We do either Jerry or I or Brett. Very soon we'll be doing a interview with folk, and it goes straight on and in their own words about their encounter. It's a great program. Check it out on Mondays.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah, I love it. It's only like 12 to 15 minutes. The longest I think went 30 minutes, and that was because it was too good not to shut it off.
Yeah.
So, but check it out.
And
It's a
that
good,
one
quick
was
listen.
the one where there was 4, right?
Well, that one, and then the one, our very
okay.
first one.
Okay, yes. 2 of them.
Yeah.
And then if you have a story, feel free to reach out to us.
We'll have to get you on encounters.
Yeah, we love it. We love it. Love it. Woo! You know what I didn't do?
What?
I didn't tell you the sad story about that I saw the other day.
Which was?
My neighbor, I caught him. He was trying to break into his house.
No.
Yeah. Asking him what he was doing. He's like, well, I got to work from home. Didn't know he was a thief.
Okay.
I feel like you told that joke backwards. you missed the part where the burglar was. Oh.
This explains a lot.
I could tell you a real story, but I'm not going to do that.
Well, honestly, when you
That's where I thought he was headed.
I was like,
Do you really want to tell this one?
I'm not going to do that. We've all had those days.
we
have.
definitely have.
We've all had those days.
And he's way too good of a guy to throw under the bus like that.
Yeah, not going to do that. I remember a story back when I was growing up. My best friend at the time, his parents would have a Derby Day party. And then the next day would have a big breakfast for everybody who was there. They'd make everybody stay. I mean, it was a drinking party. Had a big pool, and it was just a good time. Well, they had this one guy over, and we lived right across the street from a bar. So there's a lot of people from the bar that would come over and, partake in the party. And this one guy comes over, and he was drunk when he got there. And he drank a bunch. A local businessman. He's long since passed at this point in Cynthiana. And we looked over there, and we was like, Joe, what are you doing? We're all in the pool playing volleyball, and he's just over there standing by the fence. He's like, just taking a leak. He's like, all right, we live kind of out in the country, not a big deal. Joe turns around, he's acting like he's zipping up his pants, but the whole front of his pants were wet. He never unzipped his britches. He was so drunk. Yeah, that was. I remember
Yeah.
those things. So we've all. The point of that is we've all had a.
I've
a
been there.
day.
Yeah, I've been there.
You've been there here.
I've been there many times. At those stupid cranberry drinks that you used to make.
Oh, the
Those
slutty
were-
nipples. I still make them
Oh
occasionally.
my gosh, those killed me.
So good.
Destroyed me.
Like no alcohol, 3.5 shots of vodka in every drink. You couldn't even taste the alcohol.
You couldn't at all, and you just sip them like they were.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Sweet, cold. And when you went to stand up, you'd be like, oops.
You guys ever had watermelon where they take syringes and shoot it full of pure grain and let it set for a few hours and dissipate? When you get the right amount, that stuff is dangerous.
Yeah.
It's so lethal with no taste of alcohol.
I've heard that it's good.
I don't like watermelon.
Not proud of
That's
this,
the
but-
Oh
problem.
really?
Yeah, not a fan.
Years and years ago, college parties, we used to have these watermelon in warm weather. Some girl would be like, no, I don't drink. Well, it's fine. Have a piece of watermelon.
We used to do at my buddy Dave's house, we would take the fridge, or not the fridge, the bathtub, and make a whole bathtub full of hooch. Dude.
That always just totally freaking disgusts me to
It's
think about, to look at it. and
That's
think,
disgusting.
no,
Yeah, that's really.
but I've seen it. I've been at many parties and saw it.
I guess.
There's so much alcohol and
I know.
hooch
Yeah,
that
that's what I'm
whatever's
saying,
in
it's just
there.
cleansing it, I guess.
I know. It's still disgusting
Like
to me to
cleaner
think
than it
about.
is.
Have you seen the videos of what they take, like human parasites, parasites that humans have in them? All of us do, right? We all have. And they'll put it under a slide and put it under a microscope, and then they'll just inject a little bit of vodka, and it immediately kills everything.
Really?
Yeah, it's like, whoa, that's pretty badass. I better not tell Trump that if we want to inject that in people to get rid of COVID.
Trump doesn't drink.
No, but
You're
Oh,
missing
was
the
he getting-
point.
Okay.
When he wanted to inject bleach into people to
he
cure COVID.
never wanted to inject bleach.
Okay.
But
Sure.
anyway,
You know what they did? They actually did stuff like I talked to a dude who used to work at a hospital. He was saying that when people from COVID would die, they'd put Clorox wipes up their nose.
to
and down
prevent
their throat.
disease,
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
To do what?
to kill any disease escaping,
It's a dead
put a
body.
barrier.
I've never heard of
So
that.
what did they do in the other?
That's what I'm
Oh.
saying. That's what I was at.
I mean, you want to reach down there, go right ahead.
I'm just.
Cherry automatically goes to the other hole.
Hey, never mind. I'm not going there. We were too far down that
Look at
path.
this. We're out of time. Let's get started with some horror stories, shall we?
Did you
Please?
do that joke?
Oh, here, let me go.
Oh,
So, do you know that some say that Steve Jobs would have been a better president than Donald Trump?
really?
Most people probably.
But that's just comparing apples and oranges.
Steve-
Yeah. I like it.
I don't
Okay.
necessarily disagree with that comment either. I think Steve Jobs would have been an awesome president.
No.
I love Steve Jobs.
You didn't like Steve Jobs? I don't even like Apple products, and you tapping on his iPhone as he says no.
Just because he makes a good product does not mean he'd be a good president.
Apple has not been good since he left.
It went downhill horribly. The
Because
guy
he,
was a visionary.
he got fired and then made another freaking $1 billion company that Apple ended up buying. He made Pixar.
He didn't make them.
Well, he didn't.
He
make,
bought
he
them.
bought them, and he
Yes.
kind of got them started.
Yeah, well, yeah, he had a lot to do with them getting where they are.
Yeah.
As far as a tech guy, I can't think of a single person, including Elon, that I think would have been a better politician than Steve Jobs.
And if you like listen to him talk, especially at the end when he was already diagnosed, that dude was just so inspirational. I remember when I was in high school, I just started watching videos, and it was just, man, this guy was awesome.
You know, that
I heard
just
he's a tough
shows
guy to
the,
work for, though.
that I'm glad you brought that up, because that shows the age discrepancy about everybody at the table. You watched videos. I read books, and Jerry chiseled tablets. It was all.
explains a lot there, doesn't it?
I see. Technology of all the world.
Both episodes were dissing your age.
And again, same response from last time. It doesn't bother me. Getting old sucks, but it sure as hell beats the alternative.
Right.
So I'll take getting old every time.
Yeah. And in all fairness, I can't believe I'm saying this out loud. Jerry literally is only 10 years older. So if I didn't bring it up, he would. So I figured I better go ahead and put it out there.
No, I'm fine with people saying I'm old. I don't, can't disagree. I can't disagree.
See,
So,
I do because I does in my mind, I'm still 23, 24, 25.
yeah.
Does that ever go away? I guess.
I don't know.
'Cause I still don't really feel like it.
I don't feel like I'm damn near getting ready to turn 50. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Just don't.
You ask if it ever goes away. I think the answer is no. And here's the perfect explanation of that. As a 60-year-old, a 50-year-old, or a mid to late 20-year-old, this is true for all of us. You can think about when you were little. When you were 5, 6, 7 years old, what age was old to you?
I can't really remember. I mean, I'm sure 13 was old. I remember looking up to kindergartners, being like,
And
"Oh
when you
man, I
were
can't wait to get to kindergarten."
18 years old, what was old? Because at that point,
Probably
you'd already
21,
at that
25.
point you'd already passed the age
Right.
that you used to. The point is that age is always shifting.
Yeah.
Steve is saying that he doesn't feel like he's almost 50. So if I ask him what he really thinks is old, he might say my age or maybe a little older. But when he gets that age, it will be another age just pushed into the
Yeah.
future. So the answer is no. It's an ever-changing, ever-evolving thing. But we always think that I haven't got there.
Yeah. That's exactly the feeling that I'm like, man, you think you got it all figured out at 27, and then you get to 27, you're like,
Not so much. So, who's leading off the way tonight, Steve? Gonna make it 2 for 2?
No, I am not. I am not leading off tonight. No. I could potentially, but I don't want to.
I should go last because I went first last time and took over the whole freaking episode.
No, I went first class.
He's saying
I
last
meant the
time.
last time we tried this episode. I'm gonna speed it up, but I want to.
I'll go first.
Okay, yeah, you go first.
Tonight I'm going to be talking about the death of Elisa Lam. Elisa Lam was a 21-year-old student at the University of British Columbia. She was the daughter of Hong Kong immigrants that lived in Vancouver, British Columbia. In January of 2013, she took a trip to California. She traveled alone on Amtrak. She used city buses when she got to San Diego and then again when she went on to Los Angeles. She visited the San Diego Zoo. She posted several photos that she had taken there to her social media. She then went to Los Angeles. She checked into the Cecil Hotel on January the 28th. It was an older hotel, originally built in 1924. It was a luxury hotel back then, but it had already declined in the decade since, and it was being ran as a hostel with shared rooms. So you were renting a literal bed, not a bedroom. You're renting a bed. Excuse me. She attended a live taping of the Conan show in Burbank while she was there. She was in contact with her parents every single day up through January the 30th. On January 31st, the day that she was scheduled to check out and leave to go to Santa Cruz, her parents didn't hear from her, and they called the Los Angeles Police Department. They flew to Los Angeles the following day to help with the search. And police searched the hotel as best they could. They didn't have any probable cause, so they couldn't go search every room. But for all public areas and anyone that agreed to let them, they searched everywhere they possibly could. They searched the first floor. They searched the rooftop. Several days later, on February the 13th, another week later, after no sign of Lam, the LAPD released a video of the last known sighting of her, and it was when she was in one of the elevators in the hotel from a video surveillance camera. And the footage showed Lam behaving very strangely in the elevator. At one point, she appeared to press it. Excuse me. She appeared to press every button on the panel. She appeared to be briefly talking with someone, an invisible someone that was around the corner. She was peering around the corner of the door. She crouched in the corner of the elevator. She left and then re-entered the elevator, and at one point seemed to even have a very animated conversation with a still invisible unknown person. The video is almost 2.5 minutes long from the time that she originally entered the elevator. Weird part. In the 2.5 minutes, the elevator doors never once attempted to shut. Right? You get in an elevator after a few seconds of no one coming in or out. There's motion detectors, no one coming in or out. The doors begin to shut. 2.5 minute video. Now, there was a couple of times when she would exit and doors never once attempted to shut. Remember that. The hotel later said that there were no reports of the elevator malfunctioning and that the only way to stop the doors from closing would have been to hit the emergency stop button, of which they would have been notified. There was no notification. You can actually still see the video. We'll leave a link to it when we post the episode. The video of her in the elevator is still available. Now, the video drew worldwide attention and it garnered millions of views within the first 10 days. Several theories emerged to explain her actions. One was that she was trying to get the elevator car to move in order to escape from someone who was pursuing her. Others suggested that she might be under the influence of ecstasy or some other party drug. No illegal drugs were detected in her body. During the search for her, guests at the hotel began complaining about low water pressure. Some later claimed that the water was even miscolored and had a weird, unusual taste. On the morning of February the 18th, a hotel maintenance worker was sent to the rooftop to check the 4 1,000-gallon water tanks on the roof that provided water to the guest room. He found Lam's naked body lying face up in the water in one of the 1,000-gallon water tanks. Her clothes, her watch, her room key were also found in the tank. There were no signs of physical trauma, no signs of sexual assault, no signs of suicide. Toxicology tests showed that no illegal drugs were in her body and that a very small quantity of alcohol, about 0.02% or one drink, one beer, one mixed drink, was what she had in her system.
One small glass of wine.
Yes. 0.02, one drink. Now, the tanks were not locked, but access to the roof should have triggered an alarm. There were no alarms. The tanks were 8 feet tall, and they required hotel employees to use a ladder to just look in. The ladders were kept in a locked closet, so they have no idea how she could have gotten into the tanks by herself. Again, the police canine units searched the rooftop back on January the 31st and noted nothing out of the ordinary. Her death was ruled an accidental drowning. By the way, the Los Angeles Public Health Department immediately tested the hotel's water supply. Again, 4 water tanks. She's found floating dead 2.5, 3 weeks after she died. In one of the water tanks that are used to supply water to the guest rooms, the kitchen, they tested the water supply. And they determined that the hotel could stay open as long as they provided bottled water and warned guests not to drink the tap water. The hotel continued to check in new guests and asked them to sign a waiver releasing the hotel from liability if they became ill, still using the water from the water tank where she was found dead.
How about you got to be in a drought to use that kind of... I'm sorry.
How could that be allowed? Why not just drain the one tank, use the other 3? I have no idea. On January the 13th...
bleach, bleach, a little cleaner.
Just a little bit.
Something,
On January 13, 2021, Netflix announced a 4-episode docuseries titled Crime Scene, The Vanishing at the Cecil Hotel, which explores Lam's death, and it premiered on February 10th, 2021. Now, that's a weird case in and of itself, but the Cecil Hotel has a long and sordid history. In 1962, a female occupant jumped out of one of the hotel windows, killing herself and a pedestrian on whom she landed. In 1964, a retired telephone operator named Pigeon Goldie Osgood, who had been a well-known and well-liked long-term resident of the hotel, was found dead in her room. She had been raped, stabbed, beaten, and her room was ransacked. Night stalker Richard Ramirez, who was found guilty of 14 slayings in the 80s, lived on the 14th floor of the same hotel for several months in 1985. An international serial killer, Jack Underweger, is suspected of murdering 3 prostitutes during the time that he lived there in 1991. He later killed himself in jail in 1994. A 2023 Los Angeles Times article described and photographed the rundown condition inside the Hotel Cecil, which included black mold and vermin infestations, water leakages, graffiti, vandalism, and unsanitary communal amenity.
You think?
Do you remember when we did the Bell Witch hauntings in
Oh, yeah.
Adams, Tennessee?
One of our best listener responded episodes.
I gave a public service announcement warning with that one. Again, that was just a few miles from your in-laws. I'm sure you would remember. I have the exact same recommendation for the Cecil Hotel. It needs to be condemned. We can come back in a couple hundred years and revisit the issue. But as it now stands, with the history of this place, it needs to be condemned.
There were lots of people in the Cecil Hotel, Jerry, that rented a room, that went to bed and felt like they were being choked, that felt like somebody was laying on them. Yeah, there's
That's
lots
weird,
that happen at the Cecil Hotel. Lots of evil, lots of bad stuff. Maybe, that hotel was there forever.
Built in 1924.
Still there, right?
Still there. Still operating. Would you
What?
guys stay there?
Well, I'm
would not
kind
say
of
that.
more of a 3-star kind of place myself. And listen, truth is, it probably has bugs, and I don't do bugs. I don't care if it's 5-star. If it's got bugs, I'm out.
Like what kind of bugs?
Bed bugs.
Oh,
Any hotel or anybody's bed I'm sleeping in that ain't mine, I'm checking for bugs. Just saying. Those are nasty.
I thought you couldn't see bed bugs.
You absolutely can.
Can.
Absolutely.
Thought they were not microscopic, but almost.
Yeah, no,
I don't know
you can
why I
see them
thought that.
easily. And they're gross.
so apparently they just recently had some renovations made. And I guess they closed down for a bit, reopened in 2021.
Yeah, sorry about
Still.
that.
So, if you guys are in the area, stop by, pay them a visit.
No, I'm good. It'd be like it'd be like aliens driving past Earth. I'd like drive by and like lock my doors. Just keep driving. Since you're
Don't look them
gonna
in the eye.
since you're gonna finish this up, Brett, let me go ahead and talk about something you probably have in your house. Are you ready?
No.
Do. Tonight I'm going to talk about a small doll that apparently is haunted. It's a Elsa doll from the Disney show Frozen.
I have one.
Yeah, I figured you would with 4 girls.
Probably have multiple.
Tonight's story is coming from today, and it is Scott Stump wrote the article that I'm going to take this from today. But you can find a million different articles. I just like giving folks credit when I'm reading their stuff. So a haunted Elsa doll just wouldn't let a Texas family go. The Madonia family from Houston found out that Frozen is truly inescapable. If you've got 4 girls, it is definitely inescapable. As Emily Madonia wrote on Facebook that an Elsa doll she first gave her daughter in 2013 kept finding its way back home after they twice threw the thing in the garbage. To recap, for those who have not been following the Elsa doll saga, Matt, her husband, had thrown the doll thrown it away weeks ago. And then we found it inside a wooden bench. Madonia wrote last week. Okay, so we were weirded out and tightly wrapped the doll in its own garbage bag and put that garbage bag inside of another garbage bag filled with other garbage and put it at the bottom of their dumpster and underneath a bunch of other garbage bags and wheeled it to the curb to be collection on garbage day. Great, right? We went out of town, forgot about it. And then today, Mom, Ariel says, Mom, this is written really bad. I should have fixed another one. I apologize. Mom, I saw the Elsa doll again in the backyard. So They had the doll. It was acting creepy. They threw it in the trash. It got out of the trash and ended up back inside a bench within the side of the house. Now, let me explain the situation that this story's not telling us. So, the young girls that were in the house at the time were about, 3 and 4 years old. They are not climbing in a dumpster, which is 4 feet tall,
Right.
and getting it out and putting it and then hiding it. That's not happening. Mom and dad obviously aren't doing it because they hate the doll. So then they take it, they wrap it up again. They put it in its own bag, put that bag in another bag, and put that bag at the bottom of the dumpster where no one else is going to know that it is. And then they go on vacation, they come back a week later. That doll, which the trash truck has already ran, is in their backyard. Isn't that nuts?
Yeah.
That's creepy. And so they finally put out a mention to people in the United States, help us get rid of the doll.
Yeah.
So a guy in Minneapolis said, hey, send me the doll. So they send the guy in Minneapolis the doll who owns a trash truck. He takes, and if you've seen trash trucks, a lot of times they'll take things and funny things and put them on the front of the truck. He strapped the doll to the front of his trash truck, and apparently it's still there today. Dolls are creepy as junk.
Dude.
I came across at least like 5 stories, and if we have time, I'll come back to at least another one, about creepy, possessed, weird dolls. Ugh. What would you do?
Sell the house. I remember as a kid, I was always afraid like my dolls were like moving, or like my stuffed animals or something like that.
Well,
No idea what caused that, where the fear come from.
No, I don't know. I don't know if
Toy
I heard
Story.
about Chucky or
Yeah, maybe
it
something
could have been
like
Toy
that.
Story. Yeah, I was afraid of it. I don't know. That's creepy. Every time I look at an Elsa doll, man, I'm just gonna be thinking about the story.
My stepson had a My Buddy doll. You familiar with those? Google it real quick. My Buddy.
It's basically Chucky.
Yes. But he had it before the movie come out. He had it. It was his best friend. Everywhere he went, his doll was with him. Slept with him, played with him. Wherever he was, My Buddy doll was with him. And then came the night when Kim and I watched the movie, and he was in and out of the room. We didn't think he watched enough. He would like come in and talk to us and then leave and go to his room. We didn't think he saw enough to. All we knew was a couple of days later, Kim told me, Jerry, I found JC's My Buddy. It's in the back far corner of his closet. She's like, did you put it there? I wouldn't move his My Buddy. So she put him back in his bed. The next morning, he was back in the back end of the closet. He never played with it again, never touched it again, never had anything. Have you found a picture of it?
I did, yeah.
Yeah. I can understand why. I mean, that doll. And actually, if you look into it, if you research it, that movie killed the sales of that doll.
Oh, I'm sure.
And it was a huge selling doll up till that point. And from then on, there was no one buying it.
I feel like even parents are going to be like, every time they look at it.
Yeah, after seeing the movie, absolutely. That was the end of the. Yeah, I kind of agree with Steve. Some of them things are kind of weird.
Just creepy, dude. Just stupid. So, Brett, tell us about your creepy story.
All right, so my story takes place right outside of Indianapolis. So this is actually pretty recent. So January 25th, 2014, the Indianapolis Star posted a story called The Exorcisms of LaToya Ammons. So November of 2011, the Ammons family moved into a rental house in Gary, Indiana. The first unusual thing they experienced after moving in was in December. There was big black flies that suddenly swarmed their screened-in porch, despite it being in the middle of winter. Ammon's mother, Rosa Campbell, told the Indiana Star, "We killed them, but they kept coming back." Other strange things started happening, such as after midnight, they claimed to hear footsteps climbing the basement stairs. They heard creaking of the doors. Nobody being in the house other than them. One night, Campbell claimed to have been woken up and saw a shadowy figure of a man pacing in her living room. When she went to check, there was nobody there, but there was large wet footprints on the floor. There was one incident where around 2 a.m. The family had friends and family over after the death of a loved one. She screamed. Everybody rushed into the room, and her 12-year-old daughter was levitating above the bed, unconscious. They reached out to churches, and most of them basically didn't have anything really to offer them. There was one church who recommended drawing a cross with smoke throughout the house, reading Psalm 91, which I do have here. So I'll read it real quick. You will not fear the terror of night, nor the arrow that flies by day, nor the pestilence that stalks in the darkness, nor the plague that destroys at midday. So they did this. They said that the house was quiet for a couple days and then turned worse, claiming the demons possessed Ammons and her children, who were at that point 7, 9, and 12.
Oof.
So the youngest was then, at that time, 7, started doing other weird things, such as sitting in a closet talking to a boy no one could see. Campbell claimed that he once flew out of the bathroom as if he'd been thrown. The 12-year-old told mental health professionals that she sometimes felt as if she was being choked and held down, so that she couldn't speak, and then heard a voice saying that she'd never see her family again and wouldn't live another 20 minutes. Some nights they ended up sleeping in a hotel just to get away. At this point, I would just be moved.
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree.
The story does say that they couldn't afford to move, but surely you can find it. You just break your lease or whatever and find another house. I mean,
Totally
at
agree.
that point, it's just you're already spending money on a hotel. I mean, hotels aren't cheap. This was in 2011.
Maybe they stay at the Hotel Cecil.
Maybe. Just don't.
Oh,
don't
wait,
drink,
this is in
don't drink
Indianapolis.
don't drink the water.
Yeah, no. That makes me rethink drinking water in any of those cities like that. Ooh,
That's sketchy.
yeah.
So Ammons went to see a family pediatrician, and the staff witnessed the 7-year-old being lifted and thrown into the wall, nobody touching him. This was the medical staff that told the Indiana Star this. He abruptly passed out, wouldn't come to. The doctor's office immediately called 911. They were rushed to the emergency room. According to the report from the hospital, the 9-year-old had a weird grin and walked backwards up a wall to the ceiling and then flipped over Campbell during the psych evaluation at the hospital. The psychiatrist and nurse both ran out of the room, and this led them to take emergency custody of the children. The hospital chaplain called the local priest, who, after ruling out natural causes, believed that there was demon activity. And during his meeting with Ammons and Campbell, there was a flickering light that would stop every time Father Mike would investigate. He saw the wet footprints that they had seen, and before he left that first visit, he blessed the house and sprinkled holy water in each room, advising them both to leave the house. The case manager for the kids visited the home a week later with 2 police officers. Campbell had told them that the demons seemed to be emanating from under the stairs to the basement. Upon investigation, one officer's audio recorders malfunctioned, and then when playing back the other officer's recorders, they heard a voice say, "Hey." Photos that they took had strange silhouettes and faces of one of the officers' radio, and one of the officers' radio and the police cruiser malfunctioned on the way home. The case manager found strange liquid dripping in the basement that was both slippery and sticky on her fingers, and one of the police officers dug a hole beneath the stairs, finding a bunch of objects such as a press-on fingernail, a white pair of panties, a political shirt pin, a lid for a small cooking pan, socks with the bottoms cut off below the ankles, candy wrappers, and a heavy metal object that looks like the weight for a drapery cord. And then, after he dug all this up, he replaced the dirt, raked it over. Father Mike less salt, and covered the basement with it. The case manager, right after this, felt her pinky finger start to tingle and whiten and said that it felt like it was broken. 10 minutes later, she felt as if she was having a panic attack and had to eventually go outside. Father Mike then performed an intense blessing and performed a minor exorcism on Ammons, which was attended by 2 police officers and the case manager. After that, he told Ammons to look up the names of demons, the priests, that were tormenting her, which she did, but the computer kept shutting down, and she began to feel sick and lightheaded as she was researching. They did discover some names that seemed to link up with a lot of things that were happening, such as the flies, the footprints, things like that. And then Father Mike performed 3 major exorcisms on Ammons, pressing a crucifix against Ammons' head. So Ammons felt that she felt something inside her was trying to hold on and inflict pain at the same time during these exorcisms. She said it was as intense as giving birth. Eventually, she fell asleep. He performed 2 more exorcisms after that. After the final exorcism, Ammons said that she had felt a change and didn't feel scared anymore. After regaining custody, her kids said they felt safe as soon as they left the house. That was the Indianapolis Star.
I agree. I would have left. I would have. Period.
I mean, at what point are you like, all right, enough's enough? And there's so many witnesses to this. And that's what the Indianapolis Star was like. We don't really usually do articles about stuff like this, but there's so many people that witnessed this. Cops, case managers, hospital officials, doctors. I mean,
here's the thing, though. And one of the questions that was brought up about this company is her kids missed a lot of school, and they were wondering if they weren't trying to do this to make the kids, for her not to get in trouble for truancy. But with that many witnesses, how do you make a 9-year-old kid walk backwards up a wall?
Argument was that he was holding the grandmother's hand the entire time, but
so grandma's strong,
right? I don't know many grandmothers that could do that, and 9-year-olds with the core strength to be able to hold on and look like they're walking up a wall. The nurse and the case manager basically said he definitely did.
So Zach Baggins from whatever ghost show he does, the Ghost Adventurers, bought that house.
Oh yeah,
yeah. He actually bought that house, and they destroyed it on one of his episodes.
That's awesome. Yeah, I remember. I read that the owner of the house basically came out and said after this article came out, he was like, the house has never been haunted, and there's nothing wrong with it. Basically, trying to justify somebody else coming in, but I'm glad that it was destroyed.
It is no longer there. Zach Baggins bought it, and whatever you believe of him, which I don't. I think he's a hooligan who tries to. I think that people that make that do what he does to sensationalize some of this stuff actually sets real researchers back.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I don't like that, but I do like that he bought the house. I do like the fact that it was destroyed. So that's good. It's not going to be able to, whatever was there isn't going to torture another family. Yeah. Some of the things back on your story, Jerry, that, there's so much to that and so much activity in that hotel. And you add a few, there was some mental issues that young lady suffered.
Yep. And that was part of the problem. I didn't get into that. She had some mental problems. She had been on doctor-prescribed medication for a long time, bipolar, some other mental issues as well. Again, the toxicology report showed no medication in her system, legal or illegal. Good there was no illegal. Bad that she was off her meds. Yeah. So apparently that's thought that was maybe potentially part of the problem. But even with that, still
that was
so
ruled
many.
As suicide,
right, there's so many weird.
Do what?
That was ruled as suicide.
No, accidental drowning.
Oh, yeah. An accidental drowning from a girl about as big around as a pencil lifting up that top lid.
Who climbed an 8-foot tank with no ladder.
Accidentally.
Or if she did, she had someone take it back.
and then got up there, took all her clothes off, and jumped in. I ain't buying it.
Yeah, just weird.
Ain't buying
Really
it.
weird.
So, anyway, back to the story at hand. The Indianapolis haunted house. More or less news coverage?
I would say, I mean, it's got a lot of news coverage already, but I think that stuff like this is definitely needs more news coverage because people think it's a lot of, it's in line with, aliens, which I believe in aliens, but they think it's a joke basically. And so, like, I think that when a news outlet like the Indianapolis Star shows all these witnesses that are credible, I think it shows people that, hey, this isn't just a bunch of people just trying to become famous or
Right.
I agree totally.
100%. And it all comes down to what Jerry always says. One person sees something, 100 people that are credible, okay, we might have something here. And I have to help join you. Even though it's gone, I'm with you.
Yeah.
More news coverage.
It's like you say, I think like 90% of this is probably crap. There's the rest of it, might have, when it's unexplainable, there might be something there.
Yeah. I agree.
What about
Elisa Lam?
well, I was going to say the Elsa doll from hell.
Oh, okay, yeah.
She's still around Minneapolis on the front of a garbage truck somewhere.
Some person's going to be like, oh, hey, I heard about that doll.
You can't say no as long as she's still riding around on a garbage truck. You just can't. Impossible.
And maybe it just gives a parent, hey, if you think a doll's creepy, just post it online and see if a garbage truck will take it off for you.
Crazy.
One of our listeners on Twitch told us this story. I don't know if you guys read it. Something kind of similar. Barney stuffed animal, battery operated. It died. Started coming on in the middle of the night, even after it was dead. Finally, she mentioned it to her dad. He examined it. There's no batteries in it. Thankfully, in their case, they threw it away and it stayed gone. It didn't reappear.
Lit it on fire. Dang.
Yeah, lit it on fire. Yeah. But I guess back to what you said, there's some strange, weird dolls out there, huh?
I hate friggin' dolls. And the only one that hates dolls worse than me is sitting in there. She hates them. Literally petrified of them.
My grandmother has, have you seen those glass baby dolls?
Yes.
Oh, my gosh. She has a whole cabinet full of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, every time I remember when I was a kid, I'd look at it and be like,
oh, crazy.
Yeah.
What about your young lady who decided to go swan diving in the
Here's the
tanks?
point with her. I don't think we're going to discover more information. It happened too long ago. But, yeah, maybe to try to bring some closure to the family. Can you imagine? They lived in another country, it's Canada, but they flew down and helped with the search and, finally found their daughter. And the questions that we have, can you imagine if that was your own kid?
that'd be awful.
Right.
It would.
Imagine.
And then you're not
losing
only-
your kid would be awful, but then so many questions.
Not only does she offer meds, in a position, in a hotel that has known, I don't even want to say, I'll say demonic behaviors. That's a unbelievable cocktail for disaster.
And ended up exactly that way.
Yeah, just
A
crazy.
disaster. So, yes, I would have to say until some resolution is given other than accidental drowning.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just.
And hey, don't go to this hotel.
Yeah, book somewhere
Condemn
else.
Yeah.
What a great conversation. But we're not done yet. Stick around through these very important ads for an awesome bonus story. JT's Way is a Christ-centered, nonprofit organization with a call to help hurting families during the loss of a child. At JT's Way, they assist families grieving from the loss of a child through assistance with things like funeral expenses, emotional support, guidance through the grief process, and help in their healing journey. While paying for funeral expenses, they help navigate picking a funeral home, burial plot, or cremation services, and provide families with grief counseling resources. JT was 17 years old when he died unexpectedly in an automobile accident. He was a senior in high school and a student in the automotive class. JT loved cars and music, and he took his role of friend very seriously. and made sure to make friends wherever he went. Their mission at JT's Way is to minister to families by financially assisting and connecting them with their local resources. These resources will assist in the financial and emotional burden of bearing a child. Their aim is to aid in the healing process for parents and families, and these resources include grief counseling and parent-sibling groups. The outside world doesn't stop, but we can tell you from experience that a parent's world certainly does. In a time of desperate hopelessness, JT's Way provides hope. If you want to help support JT's Way in their mission, please reach out to them at www.jtsway.com. JT would often say, "Let me challenge you to make a friend, be a friend, and most..." What a great conversation.
A home inspection and review literature. Keep these tips in mind, budget for yourself, and you'll be that much closer to making your dream of homeownership a reality. So reach out to me at 502-680-0953. NMLS ID 448908, DAS Acquisition Company, LLC, doing business as USA Mortgage, NMLS ID 227262. This is not a commitment to lend. Additional terms and conditions apply. USA Mortgage is an equal housing opportunity.
If you would like to share suggestions for future episodes, or simply tell us how much you love or hate us, reach out to us via email at newsworthywithsteveandjerry@gmail.com or text us at area code 540-709-1318. And now, back to the story.
Down in South Carolina, gentlemen, is a creature known in the cryptid classification as Lacertus magnus, the lizard man. It all started on June 29, 1988, when a teenage boy was driving home from work. He blew a tire along the edge of the Scrape Ore Swamp in Bishopville, South Carolina. As he was changing the tire, a fearsome reptilian creature leapt from the swamp and began attacking the boy's car. This was the first appearance of Lizardman, but it certainly would not be the last. The creature stands nearly 7 feet tall, is humanoid in shape, but with green, scaly skin, red eyes, 3 fingers on each hand, and 3 toes on each foot. The creature has a reptilian head with sharp fangs, and each finger and toe has long, sharp claws. Frightening indeed. Throughout the summer of 1988, the lizard man haunted the people of Bishopville. He never attacked the residents, but he vandalized many cars, tearing off bumpers, denting hoods and roofs, smashing the glass. But crazily, as abruptly as the creature appeared, he disappeared. Some say he went into hiding in the Congaree National Park. Others say he's lying in wait for the right time to reappear.
Nice.
And Jerry, if you can't see the light,
Be the light.